So, all right, let's talk a little rant. Not my rant in particular. This comes from Reddit. I thought it was worthy of sharing because, yeah, I think everyone has had a rant about their team, right? Anthony, I know he's had his rants about Milan, Apex about Chelsea. I've ranted about both Milan and Schalke. So I'd like to hear somebody else ranting for a change. And so this comes from Reddit, and I'll give a shout out to who is this? Platform Flat 5617. All right, says the biggest problem of Schalke. I am a lifelong Schalke supporter, and in the past years have been quite horrendous. The club has been horrendous, going from a $200 million squad to a $20 million squad with a very short period, while not even being able to compete for promotion in the second division. Yet, I believe that in the past 12 months, we have seen some great developments and changes in the club, which many people fail to see. I believe that the best two decisions since early 2024 have been the assignments of Ben Manga to the role of head of scouting and squad planning, and having Matthias Tillman as the CEO of the club. That's interesting because I don't know everybody shares that. Maybe the Manga, but Tillman, I don't know. No, but I digress. I see lots of criticism that Manga failed to add significant value to the squad, or Tillman not having enough football-related management experience. But I think our problems were much deeper than that. I think Ben Manga is doing a better job than the predecessors while still being far away from perfect. In last summer's transfer window, he was challenged with giving the squad a completely new face after players like Taroda, Oweyan, Brunner, Mueller all leaving. Also, quite a lot of players had to be sold like Kiki Top and Asan Odraogo, and some players which didn't work at all like Baumgartner, Matriciani, Idrizi, Polter. In total, we got 18 new players, which mostly were not a direct quality addition to the squad, but interesting future prospects like Hamach, Sanchez, Hoyland, Bayendir, Salazar, Nude, and the U19 player Chibata, Gruger, Becker, Podlik, and Bullet. I think it's quite obvious that not every one of these will work, which is quite intuitive considering the sheer amount of transfers. Similarly, we still have enough players right now in our squad with way too high salaries and who's barely shown anything according to qualities on the pitch. Fairman and Drexel will leave in the summer. One of them will. Kaminsky, Aiden, and Moore all failed to deliver enough arguments for the likely significant salaries. This will again free up space in the squad, either giving chance to some of our talents or new transfers. Almost done here, I think. The thing most people don't seem to see is that our squad quality right now is better than last season, while not showing on the pitch or in the table, but also our potential future squad has gotten much more interesting with many more interesting prospects. That is debatable, but I'm willing to debate that. Right now, the core strategy of the club must be to invest in players and sell them in for much higher value, like Silla, to keep up with the DFL regulations and repaying debt. It is a frustrating situation, but we do finally play the long-term game, not putting every penny into short-term success anymore. Matthias Tillman is doing a much better job than his predecessors as well, especially in communicating with the fans. I agree with that. He seems to be an initiator of this new strategy. The biggest problem is still the expectation from the fans. The amount of fans still yelling whenever they are in the stadium, which makes the players worse and more nervous by the way, and criticizing our performances while not looking beyond the greater development is truly crazy. As long as some of the fans do not push back their expectations instead of supporting, just want to have their weekly rage phases, the new strategy is much more fragile than it would need to be. After the promotion of the 21-2020 season, there was a short documentary on RTL with this title, Schalke zurück zum Wir. Yet, this slogan seems untouchable with so many delusionists. Yeah. Okay, fair rant. That's a fair rant. I don't know if I agree with everything. That's valid points in the argument there. Yeah, I think interesting takes. Like the Manga thing, I think Jack and I talked about this in the last podcast, is like we had a once-in-a-lifetime type situation with Rovin Schroeder, right? He came in, phenomenal job, and he did for what little money he had, which was none, and the amount of players coming back, which is like a handful. He rebuilt that team and got them promoted from the second division right away. Didn't start out well that season, but it ended in a fury. Taroda had 30 goals, set the team record for most goals in a season. It's hard to replicate. There's very few sporting directors that come in and do a job like he did with the amount of money he had available. So you take that away, it's hard. You compare it to that, it's going to be hard to live up to it, right? But Manga, if you take away Schroeder, for the most part, has done okay. It's been very frustrating, for sure. But I would agree that the comment said that he did better than his predecessors. I was like, yeah, I do agree with that. Um, for the most part, the one thing I would push back on, which still has been better than his predecessors, is that he obviously fired Carl Gerards, who at the time was in 13th position. What are we now? 11th position. So we have got two places better in the table since Gerards has been gone back in early October. And at the time, you compare Van Wanderen to Gerards, the attacking football looked better. A lot of heart attacks because games are 5-3, 4-3, 4-4, whatever, 3-3. They're shootouts. For the neutral fan, entertaining games. If you're a fan, you get a heart attack. Up 3-0 in the game against Darmstadt at halftime, you think the game's over, and you lose 5-3. Like that kind of stuff. That game ultimately got him fired. But I think many of us saw what Gerards was trying to do offensively, obviously with Silla and Karaman doing their thing with the goals. It was cut short, really, right? And it was a friction from the beginning. As soon as Manga come in, it was friction between him and Gerards. Same thing with Wilmots when he was there. So he got rid of him. And Kees van Vanderen comes in, and he's done a pretty good job. Like I talked, you look at what the team has done, and it's gone up and down. We're only 11th place. Went up 2 places since he's taken over. But you talk about form, talk about trends. Van Vanderen's got Schalke at 5th best team in the Zweite Liga in terms of form since he took over in October. That's crazy. I did not look. I had to double take and looked at again. Did not think that was true, but it was. In the last 12 games, he's got the team like no, the last 12 games is top 5. Last 12 games have been top 5 since the beginning of his tenure. They're something like 6th or 7th or something like that. So they're still in the top 10, but I did not expect that. What, you know, of all the games that they lost and drew, you're like, there's no way. But the second division in Germany is difficult. We said at the beginning of the season, this is the most difficult year in terms of all the quality of teams that are in there, from former champions, historic teams, all in the second division. It's just ridiculous from top to bottom. So I guess I'm not too surprised. So anyway, going back from that, Ben Manga's done okay job. Tillman now, I don't know if I agree with the comments about Tillman, that he's done better than his predecessors. The one aspect for sure is communication. He's been much more communicative, and that's obviously coming from the background. He came from leading a travel company or whatever it was called, or whatever he did. You have to be very communicative, and that's the thing what we all want now. Still doesn't say the right things at times, and there's a lot of frustration with that, and not always making the right decisions. We saw at the winter talks how a lot of stuff backfired against the club, but he is trying different things. He's not stuck in his ways. He wants to push forward, and so there's merit to some of the comments there made about Tillman. Some of these other things, I mean, yeah, we got some prospects on the team. We are getting rid of dead weight. That is true. But I think ultimately the main rant was about fans. Fans will be fans. I mean, all of it, no matter what team you support in the world, you're going to be fickle. Your fan base is going to be fickle. We all think our fan base is the worst, right? I can list every Serie A team, and every one of those fan bases could be worse. England, Germany, you name the league and country. Everyone thinks that their fan bases are the worst, or their rivals' fan base is the worst. So I get that, but like fans want to see a consistent product. I think the main thing for Schalke fans, right? You want to see you work your ass off, the players, in terms of players. Work your ass off on the pitch. We saw so many times during the relegation years how their team wasn't really trying, and they want that minor spirit fight with the team week in, week out. They want to see that, and then a good product on the pitch. And we haven't seen that in a long time, right? Maybe since the promotion year with Tarota, but good arguments. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying they're right. Probably a mix of all of that stuff, right? So, but yeah, interesting rant there that we found on Reddit.